All right, guys, looks like we are live. So the chat's not filled up yet, so I guess I'll just kind of introduce what's going on real quick, and we'll probably kind of have to do a little few introductions. But today we're going to be casting some pasta. I'm super excited. I love doing pasta blanks because mainly because two reasons. Pasta is super easy. You literally take it out of the package and then dump it in resin. So I love it. It's super simple and easy to do. The other thing is the pasta, depending on which ones you get, make really cool blanks. And I guess as a third thing that I like about it, they turn super easy. The blanks work out great. There's not really a lot of problems with it. I would say the one thing that you need to do with pasta though is you're going to want to put a top coat finish on it. You want to seal off that top because the pasta can kind of degrade if you don't seal it off from the air. So you don't want your pasta blanks or your pasta pen rotting while over the course of the years. So make sure you protect it. But other than that, I mean, everything's really simple. So it looks like the chat's starting to warm up a little bit. So let's kind of redo the little intro. If you're just joining us, we're going to be doing some pasta blanks today. I really like working with pasta. And like I was saying, it's super easy. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to stabilize it. You don't have to dry it out barely unless you live in a pretty humid area. Then I would recommend popping it in the oven. But I basically just take it out of the package and throw it in resin, and you get really cool results. So today we're going to be kind of heavily reliant on the chat. For colors. I'm kind of providing the pasta here, and they're kind of cool. These ones are called Radiator or Radiatore. I don't know how to pronounce that, but radiator pastas. These things, actually, Steve and Daniel sent these in a long time ago when I was doing streams on Twitch, and I love the shapes. They almost look like caveman art or something like that when you're done. And then another one that I like are just the kind of the squiggly ones. I forget what type of pasta this is. It might be risotto, not risotto. I don't know the name of it, but tricolor on each of them. So we got some color from the pasta, and then the chat, you guys, hopefully will come up with some really cool color combinations that we can put for the resin. We've done quite a few different ones, and frankly, I haven't made any pasta blanks that don't look good, so it should be pretty fun kind of coming up with hopefully some creative different color combinations for these guys. So let me stop real quick, see what's happening in the chat. One thing, if you are not in Waco, Texas this weekend, which I'm guessing a lot of you guys probably aren't that are in the chat, make sure to keep an eye out for, Carl Jacobson and Scott Grove, and there's a ton of people. I can't list them off, but all the people, the kind of content creators and some of the, like frequent posters on Instagram and Facebook, make sure that you're checking Facebook, Instagram, wherever, and see what's going on at SWAT this weekend, the Southwest Area Turners Association. I don't know what SWAT means, but it's basically a turning symposium. Pretty much, I would say, the best one in the country. So there's probably going to be some really cool content coming out. So make sure you keep you guys' eyes on the Facebook and Instagram and all that. Another couple people, Brian Blum and Chad Schimmel are both there too. So they're probably going to be posting lots of good stuff. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. So let's stop real quick and see who's in the chat. Smiles for Miles, what's up? Ray, how's it going, man? Charles, Gwiz, nice. Gary Tucker, cool. Welcome to the stream. Jason's from Louisiana, nice. Steve and Jordan, how's it going down in Arizona, man? And Thomas is from Texas. Robert's from the UK. Nice. Sandra's already put teal in there. We're not there yet. But one thing I also want to say is super chats. This will give you a little incentive to do super chats. And if you don't know what those are, they're just a little way to kind of help support the show. But super chatters will get first dibs on color choices. So other than that, I'll kind of pick from the crowd in there. But super chats get high priority. So just wanted to mention that. Let's see here. Ken's in Waco. Nice. So are you posting stuff on Instagram, Facebook? Make sure that you show us what's happening. I'm really bummed that I couldn't make it this year. SWAT, I've been there I think the last 3 years in a row, and it is just amazing. The people there are great. The people that put on the show and the show in general, the way that it's set up and everything. It's just a really good event. Everybody's always super happy. There's not, I don't know, it's kind of an exciting turning symposium. I've been to only a handful of other ones, but it's definitely, if you have to pick one turning symposium and you're kind of looking across the country, definitely hit SWAT. That one's a really good one. Aloha from Volcano, nice. Is that you, or was I talking to you? Oh no, it's a Yankees fan. Uh-oh. We're going to be battling it out tonight. But aloha, nice. From Colorado, nice. All right. Larry's here. Man. Lots of stuff going on. So many people. Patsia? Yes, it is. Patsia. Georgia, nice. How's it going, Brad? And Australia, nice. We got people from all over the world. That's cool. So enough talking. I can talk all day. You guys know that. So there's probably some people that are kind of just joining us. I'm going to give you one more rundown. I'll give you a little bit of a kind of a closer up shot of the pastas that we got here. So we got some radiatore pasta, and we got some, anybody know what this one is? I can't remember. I forget. It's like the squiggly noodle ones. They work pretty good. But I kind of want to mention or explain, maybe for some people that don't know, one of the cool things about these is, so you put it in resin, right? And then you cut it into squares, so let's just say we're making a pen out of it. And these guys are all kind of just, stuck in the mold, all kinds of different, configurations, ways. And then you got like colors around this. And what ends up happening is once you turn into these, what happens is the pasta gives you really cool like designs and stuff in the blank. That's why these things are so cool. On top of the fact that they're just pretty simple to use. I mean, this is about as easy as it gets for Dunkin stuff in resin. You just throw it in there and move on. You don't have to do anything. So that's what we got going on. And then real quick, before we move on from here, oh, look at that. I don't know if you guys didn't see my posts on Instagram and Facebook. I got to watch out. This thing is the top is super sharp. But I'm going to have to like zoom out, I guess. We got our giant bowl blank and everything looks like it turned out pretty good. We kind of got, the colors to kind of stay, sort of, it looks like. We were trying to do kind of quadrants of color. And although it doesn't look, like perfect right here, I really think that we probably did get kind of, the 4 colors in different spots here. I don't know, I didn't notice any problems with like overheating. Maybe we will have to kind of see when we get in there, jamming it full of money. It's not like I can really see exactly what's going on, but there's no real indications anywhere on the blank that it like overheated. It's looking pretty good. I would say the only problem is, if you can see the top, it's going to be a little bit difficult. The way that I typically mount something like this is I would start out with the screw drive, or the worm screw, I mean, on the chuck, and then, get my tenon on the back. This thing I'm going to have to kind of clean up. So I think I'm just going to have to find center and then use like a Forstner bit to kind of create a flat area and then drill the hole, and then we can get going. But I think in retrospect, I really didn't need to pack this thing so full of money. The resin, I think we could have totally got away with a lot less, and it probably would have just sat, like settled out, and we would have had a nice flat top surface that would have been a little bit easier to kind of work with to get that screw hole in, but shouldn't be a problem. Only problem is time. I need to schedule out some time so I can get this thing turned, but it's looking pretty cool. And you can't see it really, but on the bottom there's a piece of wood down in here that should make, grabbing this on the tenon. We can really crank down on that, and I'm not worried about, anything with the resin. That block of wood will be good to hold it. So we're looking pretty good. I think that blank turned out good. And so that kind of, mainly what we were doing was testing to see, can that supercast epoxy resin from, I just went totally blank, from Stone Coat countertops, test and see if that stuff can handle pouring a pretty large amount, and it looks like it's pretty good. I haven't even actually poured anything bigger than that with Alumilite Clear Slow Set. Now, I do know that you can pour huge amounts with Alumilite Clear Slow Set with no problems, but I wanted to see on the epoxy, and it looks like it stood up to it. It was not really a problem or anything. So, not too bad, not too bad. JP's here. What's up, man? Jamie Page. And Doug's here. Nice. I'm glad you could make it, man. Hope you are feeling it. It looks like you're doing better today. Nice. Well, that's good to hear, man. We were worried, and we were all thinking about you, and hope you get back on your feet full bore 100% soon, man. Hey, what's up, David? How's it going? All right, so let's see here. Rotini, that might be what it is. How's it going? Let's see here. Okay, so let's switch to the casting view. So now is the time. We need to get some colors. And like I said, if anybody wants to do super chat, you will get priority on picking a color. I think what we'll do is start out with, we'll do some like kind of three, let's see, how are we going to do this? I have limited pressure pot availability today, so I need to kind of be a little bit smart about how we do this. It might be smarter to do 6 blank molds. That way we get more bang for our buck. I'm probably only going to be able to do like, let me think here. I need these 2 pressure pots. So I got 2 of them, and we could use my 5 gallons. So we got 3 pours that we can do today. And I think what we'll do is we'll do a 6 blank mold and try and load it up with as much pasta as we can. And so let's do, on this first one, let's do 3 colors. And it looks like Jamie's already in the mandatory super chat. No, it's not mandatory, man. I appreciate it though. You get to pick one of the 3 colors. So Jamie's got one of them. If anybody, like I said, if anybody wants to super chat, you will get priority and get to pick a color. Other than, you know, if nobody wants to, and I understand, it's no big deal. No pressure, guys. But we'll just kind of pick some from the chat. I'll kind of see what Jamie picks and kind of see what might be a good idea. Like, one of the things that I will say is a lot of times when we're doing these, I like seeing what you guys throw out there, because a lot of times I have things that I kind of tend to stick with, let's say, you know, colors or ideas, or, you know, I think one way. And sometimes you guys throw something out there that I'm like, oh, this would be really cool to try. So just wanted to kind of mention that, just throwing it out there. It's really fun for me to kind of put together possible different combinations that I really wouldn't have thought of, to see how they turn out on the show. So let's see here. What do you got? Jamie's got Doug Plum Crazy. Nice. Sweet. So we got Plum Crazy. And let's see here. Brown for soup. I don't really understand that. Purple and brown. That's definitely not one that I would have thought of. Hollow glitter. The only thing I will say about the hollow glitter, if we're mixing it in with a lot of different stuff, it might get kind of mixed around and not stand out. But I'm actually not, I'm not against trying it. Blurple might not be a bad idea. I actually don't think that I've done color shift. So for anybody that doesn't know what that is, Blurple is what I call my color shift powder. So I got a blue, it's blue to purple. And this is what I make those twilight blanks out of, and all the things that have kind of a, excuse me, a color shift to them. And for anybody that wants, I've tried a few different color shift powders, and I'm not saying this is the only one that works. It's just this blue to purple one that I found is the best one that I've found. I really like the results you get. And I have a video on how to use that, and some thoughts about quantities when you're putting it in resin. On my channel, so just don't search for Blurple. I don't think I have that keyword anywhere there, but color shift is a good thing to search for on my channel, and you'll find videos on that. But that would be a pretty good one. I actually like that idea, to try that. Another thing about that is I don't usually put that color shift powder in with like pearls and like other things. A lot of times I'm just going to use it kind of either clear or just maybe with one color. So I think let's try that. And let's see here. I gotta be honest, guys, I don't like glow powder. It makes it difficult to work with because it sinks to the bottom. For these though, it might actually be, because it can at least kind of hang up on the pasta, that's not a bad way to go either. So that would be a lot of things going on. Let's keep the glow powder for like maybe next batch and just go with a color. I'm just looking through here again real quick. So we got purple, a kind of a color shift type thing, which I think is going to make things look a little bit weird. It's going to change the way that, like, what I usually think of with this color shift. So that's going to be interesting, and I don't know how that's going to affect it. And then I don't have macro pearl. I think Brian should be sending me some. I just talked to him about that, so I don't have that one. I am excited to try it. I kind of like the idea of that orange and purple. And let's give it to Doug. Let's do pearl white, so that Doug will end up kind of getting two colors. So purple, let's go with white pearl, and then let's try and see what happens with the blurple color shift powder. That's what we're gonna do. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna toss my mold in the oven. Get that thing nice and warm, and that it's not mandatory, but what ends up happening is, you know, this mold is kind of cool. Let's say it's not like really radical. I'm just saying it's like cooler temperature. And what ends up happening is if you don't heat the mold up, the resin will want to kind of tend to suck to the middle where it's warmest, and you get these kind of rounded off corners in your mold. So that's one of the reasons I like to heat it up. It just lets that resin kind of settle out. Another thing that I usually don't think of too much because I use pressure, but it does actually have an effect on it. If you heat your mold, then it'll kind of it'll force those air bubbles to kind of float up to the surface. Now I'm going to pressurize it, so it's not really that big of a deal, but it will kind of help, especially if you're not using a pressure pot. It'll help those air bubbles come to the top. So for this one, let's go with the radiator pasta. I love these ones. These ones are one of my favorites. I'm really glad that Steve, I didn't even know they made this type. I'd never even heard of it before. Let me actually switch to the other camera where there's like light, so you can see kind of a little bit better. But they're really neat. I didn't even realize that they made this kind of pasta. It was available, or anybody made it kind of thing. But it turned into some really cool looking blanks. Oops, wrong one. All right, so we're going to be using Alumilite Clear, and I think I'm just going to go with the slow set. Let's see, do I have enough? No. Shoot, I didn't think about that. I think we're just going to go with regular set. I got to be honest, I would much rather use slow set for this, but I don't want to have to stop and take time filling my jugs right now. Been cranking blanks out, and I don't have any more slow set in the jugs. So we'll just go with the Alumilite Clear regular set. That'll be fine. We're going with 3 colors. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to mix it all. There's 2 different ways you could do this. You could get 3 different cups and do each different color separately and like add your A and B in each one. Kind of an easier way to go is just to fill up the total amount of resin in 1 cup, mix it up, and then dump off, you know, what you need for the others, for the other colors in different cups. So we got our 3 cups here. That's 6. This is what I call a 6 blank mold. It'll cut out. I can cut out 6 pen blanks, and it takes, without anything in it, if I was just doing resin, it'll take 540 grams. I'm also going to spray it with a little bit of stoner. These molds are getting a little bit older, and just to make sure that the blanks pop right out, just give it a quick shot with the stoner mold release. And make me some little paper towel things, clean up any spills that we got, and we'll be ready to rock. Let's see here. There we go. From Melbourne, how's it going? We got a couple people from down under. Nice. All right, get my gloves on. And you guys know that I always take notes, and I recommend that everybody take notes if you are doing resin casting. And frankly, you know, for anything that you're doing, it's good to take notes and kind of, that way you can repeat things, or I don't know, just write it down so you kind of know what's going on, you know. So today we're doing pasta power. So first thing, the date, pasta power. So number 1, we're doing and what I'm writing down in here is I'm writing down, you know, how much resin we use, what type of resin, all that kind of stuff. So the number 1 is we're doing Plum Crazy, Blurple, and what was the other one? White Pearl. We're using my 6 blank mold and regular Alumilite regular clear. So we got to kind of move fast. That regular stuff, it's 81 degrees in the shop right now. You know, we got about 4 minutes to get that thing in the pressure pot. So I'm just going to fill it. I'm going to go, let's see here, pasta. I think we'll be good with 500 grams. That might be actually a little bit more than we need, but I'd rather be over. And so that's 250 grams times 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this cup up, 250 times 2. We're going to mix it, and then we're going to dump off some extras, you know, for each different color in a separate cup. And for this one, we're going to do, the majority of it's going to be that purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it. 60% of it is going to be the Plum Crazy. And Plum Crazy, for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, that's a Caster's Choice mica powder. So let me get that out. Oh, I'm almost out of that one. I think I got another one. There we go. Plum Crazy. So, Caster's Choice, Plum Crazy. Let me see if I can get a little bit of light on this. There, that's a little bit better. Should be able to kind of see what's going on there. So, it's a mica powder. Very simple. You just add a little bit of powder to your resin and you're good to go. Got to open this other one up though before we get started. Okay. What happened? What did Jordan do? Let's see here. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Got your first pressure pot today. Nice. That's awesome. The thing is, you know, a lot of people say, oh, do you need a pressure pot? And you know, the truth is no, you don't have to have one, but you know, we're going to be dumping a bunch of stuff in these blanks. And the problem is if all you're doing is just mixing up resin, then you really don't need, you know, there's nothing else going in it, then you don't need pressure necessarily. And even if you're doing like hybrids where there's like, you know, on two ends, you got chunks of wood down here and you're just kind of filling a void in the middle where, again, it's just resin. Nothing's above it and you don't have a bunch of stuff in there, then you don't need pressure. But if you're going to be trying to mix in a bunch of stuff, or, you know, you're going to be working up against the end of the working time with your resin, then you really have to have pressure. So I kind of tell people, like, just get a pressure pot, go for it. Off the bat, you're gonna be able to do anything you want, and it's just much easier. So 60%, and then we're gonna do, let's see here, white pearl. Let's do, I guess we'll just do 20% of the other two, 20 and 20. And so what is that? 500 times 60%. That's 300 grams. And then let's see. Yeah, 100 grams for the other two total. And then we're going to do white pearl and blurple. Okay. It's going to be a little bit difficult figuring out how much of that color shift powder to put in because I have very specific things depending on what you're trying to get out of it that I typically do. And this is not something that I typically use it for. So I have no clue what I'm doing on this one either. So I think typically I go for not that much powder. You know, if you're going for something kind of clear, you don't really want to put a bunch of powder in because it can end up making it kind of milky a little bit. But in this case, I think let's go for kind of a medium amount of this color shift powder. It's going to be kind of milky, but it's not like we're trying to see through or do anything like that. So let's add a little bit more than I normally would. And I think my ratio, I'll have to, it's in a video and I have notes, but I think I typically, if I'm going for like my twilight blanks, I do like an 1/8 teaspoon for 200 grams of resin total. So let's go for like a quarter. Let's double that. 1/4 teaspoon per 200, which means we're going to put, because we're only making 100 grams, an 1/8 teaspoon of this. So I'm going to write that in my notes. These are the things for like, if I'm going for like pearl, I go for this micro pearl from Pearlex. It's going to give you a really kind of that mother of pearl look in your stuff. So for this one, let's just do an 1/8 teaspoon of that also. It should be good enough. And then for Plum Crazy, we'll see how this works out. It's a little bit close quarters down there. Oops, intro cam. A little bit further down. So now you can kind of see, like what I'm doing here. Let's see, I'm just making sure that I'm on camera for everything. Yeah, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. That's not a bad view. Wish I would have thought of that months ago. Let me stop real quick before I start. Once I start, I'm going to have to just do this, you know, like there's no messing around. So let me see how the chat's going. Hey! From the beard times 16. Nice. Is he here? Where's he at? He's here. What's up, man? Sweet. Everybody's here. I probably totally butchered your name. Is it times 16? I don't know what the deal. What's the deal with that screen name? I never knew. Nice. That's awesome. Okay, so let me scroll down real quick. Yeah, I got quite a few resin casting things on my channel. I'd say the worst problem is a lot of it's not necessarily in any order, but check my playlists out. I've organized videos kind of to like I have a resin casting 101. I have one just on pressure pots. I have one just on projects that I've made and things like Dunkin Junk, kind of cool projects. So there's lots of different stuff. And if you just use the search feature, you know, if you type in pressure pot or I don't know, color shift powder, that kind of stuff, you can kind of find, you know, videos that cover a lot of stuff. So hopefully it'll be helpful for you. Nice. Jeff's going to SWAT. Sweet. Nice. Check out my... Yeah, my ebook's pretty good too. Especially for people, it's really meant for people that are like, I want to start resin casting, but I don't really know what's all involved. And even I go through a lot of stuff on this show, the live stuff, but that book has a lot of, it's laid out like how things kind of work with resin casting, and it's pretty good one. I haven't, honestly, which I'm surprised about, I haven't had one person buy it. Granted, it's a cheap ebook, but not one person has bought it and been like, this sucks. Like this was the worst thing ever. So, which I'm really surprised about. I was kind of expecting a little bit of, people have very strong opinions, especially when they spent money on it, but it's been pretty good so far. I'm trying to do some sort of iron twist coat hook. Wow, that's cool. Oh, blacksmithing is so cool. I love that. I wish I could get into it. I wanted to get like a forge set up and all that, but it's just, oh, I see what it is. Nice. Cool, man. I got the screen name down now. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go. You guys can see what I'm doing. So again, this is Alumilite Clear Slow Set, or not slow, sorry, excuse me, it's regular set. I'm so used to saying that because that's what I typically use for everything, but Alumilite sent me 2 jugs of regular, so I figure we may as well use it. And I have some in here and it's ready to go. So we need 250 grams of part A, so let's do that here. I should have, I'm just going to double check and make sure that I zeroed my scale out. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. $250. We need 250 grams. And whatever resin you're using, make sure they don't all work with scales. They're not all measured by weight. Some of them are by volume. So make sure, even if you think you know what resin you're using, read the instructions before you start for the that came with the resin that you bought. Just to make sure, because there's a few Alumilite products that kind of sound the same. There's one called Amazing Clear Cast, and then there's Alumilite Clear. And those two are totally different types of resin, and one is by volume, one is by weight, and that is the #1 reason people screw up or have problems, let's say. Not screw up, but have issues with Amazing Clear Cast, is because they see me working with, you know, quote unquote Alumilite, and then they go buy Amazing Clear Cast, which is an Alumilite product, but it's not the same thing I'm using, and then they measure by weight, and then it doesn't cure, and they're like, why is it sticky? So just a little tip, and it doesn't matter which resin you're using, just definitely double check to make sure that you know what's going on with the resin that you got. All right, so we need 250 grams of part B. So this is measured by weight, 1 to 1. It's one of the reasons I really like Alumilite. I don't like messing with 2-to-1 and 3.7-to-1 and all this weird stuff. 1-to-1's a lot easier to just estimate and know what you're doing. I'm a simple guy. I like simple resin. Now you get these pumps. A lot of people ask, where do you get the pumps? You get them from the Alumilite website. So you can buy Alumilite from them directly if you want. You can buy it from Turntex. You can buy it from Chad Schimmel at Turner's Warehouse. But as far as I know, the only place to get the pumps is the Alumilite website. So I get mine from there. And they even have one for the smaller jugs. These are gallon jugs. But they got pumps now for, I think, like the 32-ounce bottles, which is pretty cool. That's pretty nifty. I like the pumps. They just make things a little bit easier for me. One thing that I will say about the pumps, though, if you don't really get around to using your resin right away, the B side will kind of clog up. Now, you can clean it out. You can just soak your pump in acetone. But you got to make sure that you dry it out. There's no more acetone in it, but it'll clean all that stuff out. As long as it's not cured resin, it's just kind of hardened, part B. So you can kind of clean that up and your pump will work like new. But it can get kind of cloggy if you don't use it, like, regularly and kind of quick. Just a little word of caution. Okay, so we got our resin mixed up, measured out. We're going to mix it up. One thing I need to do, because like I said, we're kind of short on time. What I want to do here is I got my Plum Crazy ready. I'm actually just going to get rid of this short one. We're just going to use this one. I'm going to go with a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon. So that one's ready. We're going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of Plum Crazy, probably what's left over in this cup. We're going to dump off 100 grams in each one of these cups. This one's going to be Blurple. This one's going to be White Pearl. We need an 1/8 teaspoon, which I got an 1/8 teaspoon here for my Blurple. We're not even on this low camera. I'm showing you guys on the wrong camera. So we're ready to go, ready to rock and roll. And then we got our Micro Pearl ready to go. How much was I going to put in there? Probably just an 1/8 teaspoon of that. So I got actually another 1/8 teaspoon here, and that's ready to rock. So we're going to mix this up first. You want to make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom of your cup, scrape off your mixing stick. You want to make sure that you get all the little molecules of part A and part B mixed together and there's no clumps of just part A or part B hanging out anywhere in the cup. Because it's just going to be a blob of goo in your blanks. It's not going to cure if it hasn't mixed. So, good thing about Alumilite Clear is it mixes quite well. It doesn't really take that long. Once there's no hazy trails of anything going on in the cup, then you're good to go. So I'm going to put this on the scale over here. We're going to zero it out. We're going to put 100 grams in here. You don't have to be this, anal about it, but if you want to repeat your results, then you really kind of do need to do this kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to be pretty close to be able to put the same amount of powder in, same amount of resin to get similar results every time. Sometimes it's fun to just, have at it, but keep in mind, if you do that, you won't be able to do it again, really, necessarily. It may be kind of tough. Okay, so we got our 1/2 teaspoon, we got our 1/8 teaspoon, and we got our other 1/8 teaspoon. We got some mixing sticks. So let's get this stuff mixed up nice. I'm not even messing with a clock because basically I don't have much time. Your resin's going to start kind of getting real hot and thick, and you're going to know that, you know, you really need to get this stuff poured like right now. Okay, now one of the issues we're going to have, we're doing, you know, multiple colors, and we're going to throw some pasta in there. We don't want to put the pasta in the mold and then pour the resin over it. That's really not going to work too well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pour my pasta in this bucket first and mix it in. That way we want to get resin all over these little pasta things, in on all the cracks, so that we get good adhesion and everything. I might add a little bit more, but we want to get the majority of this stuff resined. All right, so here's our mold. Let's get a good view of that. So I'm going to dump out a little bit of the pasta mixture with the purple. I'm going to pour a little bit of this blurple in. This is going to be kind of interesting because the color shift powder is going to kind of react a little bit weird with, you know, color next to it. It really helps to have kind of dark, solid colors in with that. And so I think it's actually going to turn out kind of cool, but it's going to be a little bit different than anything else I've really done. Now let's pour a little bit more of this stuff on top. Just kind of mix it around a little bit there. And then pour the rest of this stuff's getting thick. Definitely need to kind of get going here because it's going to start hardening. Okay, so I'm just going to give this kind of a little bit of a swirl. Try and kind of mix that up a little bit. And then, hopefully you guys can see the pressure pot. I can't check it right now. Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty cool. And then we got to hurry and get our lid on. Get it pressurized, and then we'll be good to go. So, and this is one of the reasons why I like the CA Technologies pots, because the big easy screws make it a lot easier to get the lid on when you got no time to do it. When you're out of time, you don't want to be messing with those Harbor Freight ones. Makes it tough. Okay. Whew. So it's a lot of kind of sit around, wait, and then you got to hurry at the end. That's kind of how resin casting works a lot of times. And that's another reason, you know, even if you're just doing color swirl blanks, I like having pressure pots, even if you're just doing resin, because really you got to kind of wait till the end so you can get it to mix in. You know, swirl, but not like bleed. So it's good to have a pressure pot, I think. You know, if your budget will allow it, it just can come in handy in so many different ways. A lot of times, you know, you can use the slowest setting resin on the planet, or, you know, like longest working time, I should say. But a lot of the action ends up happening at the end anyway, and you just got to move, regardless of what the total working time is. All right, so let's just clean these guys off real quick. I'm just using a little bit of, you could use water or whatever. This has denatured alcohol in it. It doesn't really matter. To just clean off that mica powder. Just, I don't want to contaminate. I don't want to get the blurple in my white pearl. Typically, you can just kind of wipe it off. Not a big deal. Or you could blow it off. Maybe it's going to blow it in the air though. You don't really want to be breathing mica powder stuff. They're not necessarily, some of them are a little bit more toxic, I'd say, than others, but main thing is they're just small particles that you don't really want to be breathing, you know. All right, so we did that. Let's pull our rotini. Is that what? Oh, wrong camera. Rotini, is that what that is? Let's pull these out for the next one. let's do some stoppers. What do you guys say about that? We'll do some, we'll make a kind of, you could either do like I call this like a handle blank, or you can make 3 stoppers, wine stoppers out of this. So let's get that going. Pop it in the oven. Get that thing warming up. And let me stop and check out the chat. So, looks like the beard gets to pick a color because Jamie super chatted in his name. So, let's do, what does it say? Is Gretchen here? Oh, okay. She's not here. Is she? I'm not sure what's happening. Christina's here. How's it going? Nice. Sean's asking about powder pigments and liquid dyes. Liquid dyes, a lot of times, are going to be transparent, or they're just going to be like an opaque, solid color, but there's not going to be any pearl to them. In some cases, you can add dyes to change the color. Add dyes and mica powders. But mica powders are probably the easiest way to go if all you're trying to do is, add some color to your resin and get some kind of pearly effects. It's by far the easiest way. Whatever's in the jar is going to kind of give you, an idea of what color it is. Dyes can get a little bit kind of tricky because if you're going for opaque, you either have to find a dye that is an opaque dye, or you have to add white to it, and it gets kind of complicated trying to get the right colors. A lot of people get really frustrated trying to match colors. They have an idea of specific colors in their head, and it's by far one of the hardest things to do in resin casting, trying to get specific colors and specific, like opaque or transparent. So if I'm just going for, like I want it to be like a totally see-through blue, I'm going to probably pull out the Alumilite Ocean Blue dye. It's a transparent dye as long as you're using, clear resin, and that'll give you that kind of, looking through like the ocean look, or, whatever, transparent blue. If I'm going for something else where, I kind of like on pen blanks, I don't typically want transparent blanks. It's going to show the tube. If I'm going for opaque, I'm probably just going to pull out some pearl powder, one of the micas, load it up and get it, so that it's that nice, beautiful color with shimmeriness to it. It's just an easier pick, but it's up to you what you want in your blanks. So that's kind of the difference between dyes. And like I said, you can mix and match them. You can add, if you wanted to get like a dark green, you could start out with just a kind of a Kelly green mica powder and then add some black dye to it and it'll darken it up. Or you could just add some black mica powder to it. That'll darken it too. So like, a lot of times, you can mix and match these things, but typically you either want pearl or you want just kind of colored resin. And that's the 2 differences between them. Yeah, you need to come to SWAT. Oh yeah, Doug too. We all need to go. SWAT is by far the best turning symposium out there, I think. And a lot of people agree with that statement. Gretchen's not here. Okay. I was like, she should be working, really. Hey, what's up, TBC bushings? How's it going, Brian? I haven't done a whole lot of testing, but I'll tell you what, I do like the smallest. Let's just kind of stop real quick, and I'll kind of let people know if you didn't know. Brian makes TBC bushings, obviously. That's his screen name. I use his between center bushings for pen turning, and I ordered some for diamond painting pens. If you guys didn't watch the video, in it, I kind of said I didn't really love the way that the work holding, just putting it between centers. It kind of slipped. I got some slipping and all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't ideal, and so Brian was like, "Oh, I've made some, I've made some custom TBC bushings for people." So I ordered some, and we tried a couple different sizes, and I'm not a big fan of the biggest ones necessarily. I really like the smaller ones, personally. Lets you kind of get in there a little bit easier. But they're pretty cool. They make it really easy. It's the same exact setup. I'm using a live center and a dead center on the 2 sides. But you just drill a 7/32 hole. The bushings fit in there, and then your centers just hold it. And it's a really good way to go. So if you're into diamond painting pens or thinking about doing something like this, where you know, you got to have like a hole on the end and hold something in it. These work great. Brian can do custom ones too. So Brian, I kind of liked the smallest ones. We did 3 different diameters, sizes. The one thing I would say, let me switch to this view real quick. So we tried out a couple different diameters of the bushing part, where you would kind of turn down to, I guess. And I kind of like the thinner one. That way you can really get in there. But I will say that the thicker ones kind of hold it better. Like I'd almost say that, you know, grabbing the thicker, like a point, and this was the 0.4, starting with a 0.4, turning most of it, it's just going to hold it a little bit better. And then switching them to when you want to, you know, really get these ends like cut down. If you're not like a super skew, you know, really good at with a skew chisel or something. I just found with the carbide tools, this worked really good. The small one, and that was a 0.3 diameter. So just a little bit of feedback, but I do want to do some more testing. I've only actually turned one thing with it. It was actually this one, but it turned out pretty good. I wasn't going for anything super spectacular. I just wanted to kind of see how it turned, and those bushings worked way better than just sticking it between the centers themselves. Much easier, simple process, and it worked well. Not much slippage when it was turning. So anyhow, so we're going to be doing some stoppers. We need some colors. So we need the beard back. Is the beard here still? Where's the beard? Green. Okay, I saw it. Sorry about that. I had to scroll up a little bit. So what shade of green? We got some dark green. We got some kind of lime green. We got like a Kelly green. Yeah, I would kind of say that those are the 3 we got. Those are the 3 best. So I'll get these on a camera. You can pick which one you like the best. Let's see here. Let's just do 2 colors on this one. So we got green. Oh, it's already on the right camera. Let's just get this thing out of the way a little bit. So we got Caster's Choice Lime Green. That's going to be nice and bright. We got Emerald Green. It's going to be just that kind of, you know, your typical kind of Kelly green. And then we got Spruce Green. A little bit dark there. So let me know which one of those 3 you like. And then we need one more color on this one. Let's see here. Chris, you're just in time for the second one. No problem. I think that one thing I wanted to mention to you guys, I wasn't able to get a video done this week, which I'm a little bit bummed about. I'm a lot of bit bummed about. I just have not been able to get back on top of everything after coming back from Hawaii. So, and the other problem is I probably could have just slammed some video out and it would have been kind of like sort of good, depending. I didn't really want to just do that. I wanted to, you know, work on something. But the other thing is when I was on vacation, one thing I'm trying to do is, you guys might be surprised, I don't really plan my videos. I just kind of shoot them and whatever. So I want to try and do a little bit more planning, especially when it comes to like how-to videos. It really helps to have things really laid out. But I find that I have trouble spending time. Gotta be lime, nice. I have trouble taking the time to do that when there are many, many, many things that I need to get done. But I'm going to try and get my mindset into it to where I can kind of do that. And I have not been able to get my mind into planning a video. I got a video in mind. And I got to turn that bowl too, but you know. Okay, so we got lime green, and then we need one other color. So toss out some ideas and let's see what you guys come up with lime green. And we're going to be using the Rotini. Is that right? I'm going to look this up. I'm going to Google this. I got a computer right in front of me. Is it Rotini? Is that what we said? Yes, this is Rotini, guys. We're going to use the Rotini. So there's 3 colors. It's green, kind of like an orangish, brownish tan, and then like your typical kind of whitish, off-white pasta. Let's get that up there. So that's what we got. That's what we're sticking in there. And we got lime green. It's going to be a funky one. We need another color to go with this. So, oh, we got, let's see here, Jeff. Jeff wants gold plus glitter. Oh, man. All right. So let me just make sure I got this right. So like a gold pearl powder plus glitter. Is that what you want? Or do you just want me to do the gold glitter? Because I have some just gold glitter as well. Where's my gold glitter? That's cool. We're going to do a glittery pasta. I like it. We can just kind of load up the glitter if you want to see that. So we got some gold hollow glitter, and then I also have a couple of gold mica powders. So did you want, like, I don't know if antique gold plus gold glitter is really going to look that good. Let's just, is that kind of what you were going for? A mix of both of these? Let me know. And thank you guys. If I didn't mention it before, thank you all 3 of you guys. Well, Jamie kind of times too, but for the super chats, I appreciate it. So if anybody didn't understand what was going on, Jeff super chatted, so he got the color. You get to pick. You get priority. Yep. Okay. Cool. That'll be interesting. That's not something I would have, just picked off the top of my head. So let's pull this down a little bit so you can kind of see what's happening. We will do. So we got stoppers, we got the other one in already, right here. I'm actually going to set a timer real quick so I know, because I got to get some blanks poured after the show. I got to keep my inventory up. So that's an hour. That's one other thing that I wanted to mention. So we've been using Alumilite Clear regular set. For the most part, especially, it's like 82 degrees in my shop. I mean, I can pull these in like 45 minutes out of the pressure pot. If you're using the slow set, it's a 2 to 4 hour, set time. So it would have to stay in the pressure pot for 2 to 4 hours. Now something like a 6 blank, a pretty big one like that, I mean, 2 hours, you're good to go. You could probably pull it in like an hour, but I like to kind of just, the thing with pressure and how long to keep it in there, there's, nothing's going to happen if you leave it in longer, but if you pull it too soon, that's where problems are going to happen. So better to just kind of err on the side of longer and you'll be good to go. Especially for, I make and sell pen blanks. So I'm always going to err on the side of caution when it comes to my products. I don't want to sell blanks that have air bubbles in them because I pulled them out too early. So let me get some gloves on. Let me think about what I'm doing here. So this is going to be pretty cool. I like this yellow and gold. And we should get some pretty cool looks, with this pasta in there. Like I was saying at the beginning, if you didn't catch that, one of the things I like about pasta is it's so simple. I pulled this out of the bag. Now I am in a really dry climate, so if you're in a humid climate, probably a good idea to toss this in the oven, just to kind of flash off any moisture, get it kind of dried out a little bit more. But I don't have to worry about that. This stuff is super dry in my shop. So I can basically pull it out of the bag and just dump it in resin and we're good to go. And it creates some really cool shapes once you turn the blanks. So this stuff's going to be all kind of mixed around in the blank. And then when you cut into it and shape the blank, you're going to get these like kind of cross sections of the pasta and it adds some really cool designs into your blanks. Like I said, super easy. They turn fine. They turn quite well. The only thing about it is you will want to put, if you're making pens, you want to put a CA finish on top. You need to seal that off. And definitely do not wet sand bare pasta blanks. It'll make it like sponge up and it'll probably be okay. Like it's not going to ruin it totally, but you don't want it to get wet. What happens when you put, what do we do with pasta? We put it in a pot and boil it, right? And then it gets soft. So you don't want to be wet sanding. You need to seal that off before you finish it. So just a couple of little tips, but other than that, I mean, everything else is super easy with this stuff. Okay, so with this one, we're doing lime green and gold plus gold glitter. I like that. I actually have never done this before with, I make some blanks, some pen blanks that just have glitter in them, and all I do is just put glitter in it. That's it. That's just clear resin with the glitter. I've never actually tried putting pearl powder in there. I think I'm going to go a little bit light on it. I don't want this to be super overpowering pearl in that mixture because I think it'll kind of drown out our glitter, especially the hollow effects. So we'll do a little bit lower amount of the gold powder, but it'll be kind of cool to see how this turns out. Okay, so we need that mold. This is the same exact thing that, oops, wrong one. Same mold that's in the oven that we're going to be using. It's a 2x2 by 6.5, and it can hold about 400 grams of resin. So we're just going to go with, I don't know, let's try like I think I'm just going to mix up 380 grams. I know we're going to be putting pasta and stuff in there, but I'd rather not be on the short end of this. So 380, and that's going to be, what is that? I always have a calculator right next to me. 190 times 2, of course. So 190 grams times 2. I'm going to get a big bucket out here, one of these quart mixing cups. Fill that, and then we'll just dump off, whatever the other color into another cup. So let's do, I think in this case, let's do a little bit more of the gold mixture, just because I want to see how this turns out. We all kind of know what this lime green is going to look like, and I think that'll be kind of a good, like an accent color a little bit. So let's try that out. Let's do 80% gold and the glitter. Let's do 70-30. 70% gold and glitter, 30% lime green. Okay, so 380 grams is our total. 380 times 70% is about 266. So we'll have 114 grams for the lime green. For the lime green, we're going to put in, now this is one where most mica powders, if you add enough of it, it'll make it transparent or opaque. You won't really see through it. But this lime green from Caster's Choice is one where there's really, I haven't found enough. like you'd have to put like an equal amount of powder to resin to make it opaque. So you need to use a little bit more to get more effect with this stuff. So we're going to put in I'm going to put a half teaspoon of it in. Hopefully that'll be pretty good. And then with the gold glitter, we're going to put, let's see, we got 266, 130, 3 times 2. So we're going to put I'm going to start with an 1/8 teaspoon of the gold pearl. And I think I'm going to put I think I'm going to use this half teaspoon spoon thing, measuring spoon, and we'll try and put like a teaspoon of the gold glitter in. So like basically 2 scoops. All right, so I've made my notes. I think I know what's going on. Again, we're going to use the Alumilite regular set. And we're doing my 2-inch mold. Okay, so let's zero this guy out. Before I start mixing, because like I said before, once I start going, I got to kind of just get it done. So let me stop real quick and see what's going on in here. Canine Mike, what's up? Colorado. I like Colorado. It's very similar to where I live in most places. So I kind of like it. I dig it. Anywhere I can snowboard, I like. Yeah. And sometimes it's actually the largest turning symposium, depending on where the full AAW one is. The pasta should show through. If you add enough, it'll show through when you cut into it. So you shouldn't have too much problem with that. You're gonna get, like I said, you're gonna get these. It depends on what you're trying to do. Now, if you're trying to see the entire piece of pasta, then you're going to need to go with transparent. You don't want to add too much powder or dyes. You want to use non-opaque dyes so you can see down in there. But if you're just going for that kind of sectioned off, where you cut into it and you can just kind of see the little zigzags and stuff that the pasta makes, you shouldn't have any problem. You should be good to go. I'm just trying to kind of scan through and I don't know, see what's going on here. Any ideas from everyone for? I got to be honest. The Laguna Revo 2436 would give a Powermatic a run for its money, and it's cheaper. So, if you want I love my Laguna lathe. So anytime somebody asks and they're looking for a full size lathe, I mean, man. The 2436 is pretty much the last lathe I'm going to probably own. I think it's going to pretty much handle everything that I do. So, hey, what's up, Michio? How's it going? Yeah, I decided it was time. I was finding that I was, we live at kind of a higher elevation, and I was getting out of breath doing like kind of mundane stuff. This is many years ago now. And I was weak. In high school I lifted and stuff, played sports, and I found that I was weak and out of shape and overweight, and I just decided I'm going to start running and eat a little bit better, and just kind of kept going, and it's worked out. So thanks for noticing. I appreciate it. Makes things a lot nicer when you're not lugging around extra weight. I still have more to lose, though, honestly. If I'm going for super trim, like really fit, I got a couple more pounds that I can lose. You're not late for class. You're just on time. We're just starting the second one. We did a pen blank, six pen blank mold full of pasta ones. So you'll catch the second one, and then we got one more that'll probably be kind of one of the smaller pen blank ones or something like that. Maybe even a bowl blank. Actually, let's do that for the third one. We'll put that in the bigger pressure pot. I don't have an. One thing I got to think about, though, is which resin. We should be okay with the small bowl blank with regular Alumilite. How about that? What do you guys think about that? We'll do a bowl for the last one. Woo! I think this size bowl should be fine. One of the issues you have with the Alumilite Clear regular set is it has a limit on how big of a volume, a mass you can pour. But I think something like this should be okay. I don't think it's going to overheat. But if you're making larger blanks, then you definitely want to go with the slow set. That's what it was engineered for. It wasn't just to make it a slower, like a more working time kind of thing. It's engineered to pour larger quantities at once. So let's see here. Yeah, the record power lathes are pretty good. It depends on where you're at, I guess. Do they have, is that like more of a European, like UK kind of thing? Or do they have like a US, where do you buy them in the US, I guess? I didn't know where you could. They're all right. I turned on one of those coronets. For a small lathe, that thing was pretty darn good. But if you're going for a full-size lathe, it's hard to beat, for the price, the features and everything that you get with the Revo 2436, or even, I would say, the 1836. That's a pretty nice lathe. But the 24's got a little bit more heft. It's got a 3-horsepower motor. It's just a little bit more solid. Like, if you want to make sure that you can turn, have the power there when you need it, the 24 is a really good one. And then if you're looking for a midi lathe, like a small one, actually, Laguna came out with the 12 24. I forget what the number is, but they have like a midi, like that mid-size lathe. That thing is pretty wicked, and I'm honestly considering getting one. I might be able to do a deal with Laguna where I get a discount on it. I don't need it, but I think that there's a lot of people that, you know, I make pen blanks. A lot of people that follow what I do are more like they're the wine stoppers and duck calls and kind of smaller stuff. They're not looking to get a, you know, 3 horsepower full-size lathe necessarily, especially to start. And I think that Laguna 12, 18, 16, 12, 16, I think that's what it's called. That's a pretty, I mean, it's a really good lathe. Chad Schimmel loves those things. So I'm thinking about maybe seeing if I can get one to kind of just test out and use a little bit in my shop, just to kind of say, hey, you know, it's not that I've seen it or heard that it's good. Like, I've used it and it's a pretty awesome lathe. Now the Comet, I have a Nova Comet too. And it's fine. It's a pretty decent, you know, price to get in, but you know, it's a mini lathe. I think they call it a midi, and I would call it a mini. It's just not very hefty, but a lot of features and a lower price. But the Laguna 1216 is a really good one, and so is the Jet. Their 1221 VS, I think. That's a good lathe. The flagship Rikon is a good one. All right, so let's get started. I'll quit talking about lathes. We need 190 grams of part A. So 140. I'm on, you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. 180, 86, 88. All right, I'm a little bit over, but we're good. 190. Zeroed that out. Let's get our side B going here. Now, again, I want to be ready for what I'm doing. This is one of the biggest things. Like, if you're especially using these faster setting resins, make sure you know what you're doing. You got everything laid out. And sometimes you just jump in and you want to get it going and you're like, oh, now I got to figure out what I'm doing with this stuff. So let's get our stuff ready. I think in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually even going to dump in my green. So what were we doing with that? We were doing half teaspoon. I'm actually just going to pour my lime green. I'm going to dump it out into the cup beforehand. This is something that'll save you a little bit of time. Get your powder in the cup first, and then just pour your resin on top. And again, I'm going to be pouring like already pre-mixed resin in here. Another way that you could go is you can actually add your powder to part A if you were just doing one color, or if you were separating, you know, doing different cups, part A and part B in each one, measuring each one out separately. You can add your powders into the first part, or your dyes or something like that, and that'll get it mixed in. Then add your B, and it saves some time. You know, I use Alumilite white resin, and this stuff has a 2-minute, no joke, like, and it's probably even less than that in the summer, 2-minute working time. I don't have time to be, you know, like measuring out how much, you know, stuff I'm putting in there. So the way that I do it is I add and that's a totally opaque resin. If you just mix up the resin A and B, it's going to turn stark white, totally opaque. It's what I use for a lot of the color swirl pen blanks that I sell. And it's great because you don't have to worry about painting tubes, and it's a little bit softer, so it turns like a dream. But it's fast. You got to be moving really fast. And so I actually put the dye in beforehand. And mix it fully into the part A, then pour the part B in. So there's little tricks and things that you can use to kind of speed up, you know, save some time and speed up the process, so you're not kind of like, you know, under the gun completely at the end there. So we need 190 grams. Of part B. Let's see where we're at. Not bad. 175. 180. 188. 189. almost there. 190. All right. Looking good. All right, so let's switch down to this view for you guys so you can kind of get a little bit closer into the action here. All right, so we're mixing up this is all the resin that I'm going to be using here. And then I'm going to dump off a little bit for our lime green. Now, one thing, if you are not using a pressure pot, you're not going to want to furiously mix your resin like, like I'm doing. You need to mix slowly so you don't, air bubbles are not inherently in resin. They are added by you mixing and pouring. So if you're not going to be using pressure, it's best to not introduce a bunch of air bubbles in when you're mixing your resin up. That's another reason why I'd rather just use pressure, because I don't want to mess around with it. I just want to mix it up, get it ready, and go. So we're adding 114 grams to this cup over here. Yeah, we're a little over, no big deal. 116, not a big deal though. And then we're going to put an 1/8 teaspoon in our of this gold powder. Let's kind of get over here closer to the camera for you guys. A little bit of gold we're going to add, and I'm going to be very serious about this. I don't want any more than an 1/8 teaspoon. Don't want an more than an 1/8 inch of resin. And then let's see if I have enough glitter in here to get 2 tablespoons, or 1 tablespoon. Let's see. Oh, there it is. It's over there. This is a 1/2 teaspoon, so we're going to do 2 of these, and it's going to give us 1 teaspoon. All right, so that's about good. I was a little bit short on that one, so I'm going to add just a little bit extra. Realistically, I think I can just dump the rest out, and we'll be good to go. And then I'm going to look at this and see how this looks in the cup. For something like wine stoppers or handles and stuff like that, whatever it looks like in the cup is probably going to be pretty much what it's going to look like in the blank. So, and I'll give you kind of a shot of this, how this is looking in a second here. But we're not making pen blanks, so it doesn't need to have that was one thing that I kind of forgot. I was trying to get that lime green to be really pretty opaque, but it's going to be fine. I wasn't thinking about it. These are for stoppers. So let's mix up our lime green real quick, and I'll kind of show you guys how these look in the cup. Got to kind of get moving here, because I can already tell this stuff's warming up in my hand here. Okay, I'm going to switch to the other camera view real quick. So here's what it's looking like in the cup, nice and thick. That's going to be that'll give you an idea of what it's going to look like in the blank. And then this is looking pretty good, actually. That gold adds, I don't think we need any more of the gold powder, but you can still see the holographic stuff in there. So I think we did pretty good for a handle blank. Now, pen blanks might be a little bit different. Results may vary. So let's switch to the casting view. Get you guys kind of in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the pasta into the gold, I think. Another way to do this is you could just kind of pour your resin in and then add the pasta, but it's going to kind of mix up the resin, and it's going to change things, let's say. Change the look of things a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of dump it in here, mix it around in the cup, try and get those things nice and saturated. What you don't really want to do typically is pour all your pasta in there and then pour resin over it. You can trap a lot of air bubbles and stuff by doing it that way. So let's dump some pasta out. Add a little bit of this lime. Kind of in the middle of the blank. This might be kind of an interesting blank. I think I'm actually going to try this. We're going to try and kind of sandwich the green into the middle of the blank. That'll be kind of interesting. I never thought about doing this way. I don't think it'll be exactly, you know, sandwiched like that, but I think we might kind of get a good amount of sandwiching. Huh, I was a little bit short on this amount of resin. Well. Oh well. I don't know how that happened exactly, but it did. Just adding a little bit more pasta, and I'm just going to kind of push it down, make sure that resin gets on all the little surfaces. Kind of mix that. It's starting to get thick though, guys, so we got to move. We got to get going. Let's dump this guy in the pressure pot. The lid on and get it pressurized so we don't have any air bubbles. We don't want any air bubbles. Okay, and boom. Whew, you gotta move quick sometimes. Gotta move quick. Toss that in the trash. So let's switch you guys up to the intro view. Turn that off there. So for anybody that doesn't know, I'm using CA Technologies pressure pots. I like them the best personally. They go up to 80 PSI max. I take them to 70 PSI. I always like to stay 10 PSI below whatever the max is for the pressure pot that I'm using. So if I was using a Harbor Freight, I would only go to 50 because the max on those typically is 60. So that's kind of my little safety blurb about pressure pots. But again, this is regular set. We're gonna just leave that in for, don't need much more than an hour with the regular set Alumilite. Realistically in the summer, I mean, I could probably pull that in like 30 minutes if I wanted to. But like I said, I like to make sure that everything's good and, you know, cured before I pull it out of the pressure pot, set up properly, and that way the air bubbles do not come back. What ends up happening is if you pull it too soon, the air bubbles can just come right back. And so your pressure pot didn't really do anything for you at that point. So better to leave it in a little longer. I'll leave that in for an hour. Be good to go. All right, so the third thing that we're gonna do is a bowl. And let's see here. Yeah, I just don't have, I really wish I had the slow set, but it'll be a little bit of a test. It's been a while since I've used regular set for anything, and I think it should work fine for this. I don't think we should have any overheating. So it'll be kind of a fun little experiment. But let's go for kind of a mix. Let's mix the two types of pasta. So we're getting totally crazy, guys. I know. We're out of control, but we're gonna put both types of pasta in there, and we're gonna need, how many colors? The problem is I only have so much working time, so I can't get too crazy. I could do like lots of a little bit more colors if I was using a slower setting resin just to get them prepped. So let's try a, I don't know, it's tough. I'm kind of thinking like it'd be cool to just do a single color or a transparent bowl. I actually think we need to go for transparent on this one, I think. So we're gonna go transparent. We're gonna do a single color for like most of it. Let's maybe add a few little wisps of something else, just to add a little bit of color, like a few swirls of black or something like that. I think honestly it's gonna be kind of hard to keep that. It's not gonna be all like thin and wispy. It's gonna be hard to make that because we're gonna be dumping stuff in there, but let's just see what we can do. We'll do a single color, and we'll have like an accent of something in there. That's kind of what I'm thinking for this thing. So if anybody wants to do the super chat, you will get priority on picking. Now, I don't know what to do. If like 30 people did it, I don't know what I would do. I guess it'd be the first person that came up. So we're going to have to figure out rules on the super chat thing. But If anybody wants to super chat and pick the colors, we're gonna need one transparent color, and we're gonna need one little kind of I don't even know what to call it, like an accent color in a sense. So let's see here. Let me move a little bit. I can't go too far back because I'll get kind of crazy here, but let's see here. You guys are having lots of conversations. It's hard to figure out. I'm missing half the conversation, I think. Go crazy. Yeah, we're going to go crazy. Oh, and then, see, the problem is then it goes down to like, it's hard to like go backwards. Pink. Pink would be tough. Pink, well, there is a way to do that, I guess. I'll just give you a little bit of a tip. If you're going for transparent pink, the only way to do that is use the tiniest amount of, oh man, see, that's what happened. Dark blue. So Jamie got in first for dark blue. And then we're going to go with I guess we're going to have to go with a silver accent. I guess that's how that would work. Unless you want to redo it, Jordan. Jamie got in there first with the dark blue. Are you sure you want dark? Because that's going to make it harder to kind of see through. I just want to double check before we commit to this. We're going to go with transparent but dark. Is that what you're going for, Jamie? So anyway, what I was saying about pink is you could use red dye and just use like the tiniest amount. It's actually almost easier to get some of these kind of those like lighter colors, pastel-ish kind of colors, transparent. It's almost easier just to use alcohol inks because they're very, compared to Alumilite dye, which is very concentrated, I would need to use literally a pinprick of red to make it kind of pink. It's almost easier using those alcohol inks because they're really, you can't add too much to make it like super dark. It's very thin stuff. All right, so let's see here. Where are we at here? Oh, Jamie's gonna say teal. We're gonna do teal. So, what is teal? Like a blue-green kind of thing? Because I got ocean blue. We could add a little bit of like yellow to that to kind of make it greenish. Is that right? We could add a little bit of green. I don't know exactly. Teal is kind of a tough one. Ocean blue is kind of a teal. Let me look up teal. People say things and teal. Yeah, it's kind of a blue-green. That's what I thought. I have okay, so I think we got this. Okay, we're good to go. I got a teal mix. It's just got some green in it. It's a green and blue mix. You were just having fun with the super chat. Well, the super chat is pretty fun, and I appreciate it. Okay, so we're gonna do silver and teal, and this is just a blue and a green mix that it's blue and green Alumilite dye. But I'm going to sneak up on it. See, if you're going for kind of something, you got something in your head that you want it to look a certain way, you don't want to put too much in. So it's good to just kind of like maybe add a drop, maybe even just add a little bit of a pinprick kind of thing. When I say pinprick, what I'm going to do, and we'll do that, we'll kind of sneak up, but I'm actually going to use a toothpick and just put a little tiny bit of dye on there and just kind of mix it into the resin cup. And then see how it looks, and I can always add more. But if you go right off the bat and start, just dumping dye in there, if it's too much, there's, the only way to make it thinned out more is to add a lot more resin to it. So pinprick means pull out the toothpick. So I'm just going to dump our two things here. So one thing I want to look at real quick, and I'm going to show you guys, if I can, let's look down. Let's redo this. I'm going to switch to this camera view. I want to see how much pasta. That's the wrong one. Oh, that'll work though. I want to see how much pasta. Okay, so that should be pretty good, honestly. That should be enough to do what I'm doing. I just dropped half of it on the floor. Don't worry, I got a little bit more over here. There we go. Now we're perfect. We got enough pasta to kind of fill the bowl up. The nice thing about these, I got these guys at the 99-cent store, and they just, like, they don't stick to anything, like not even epoxy, which is a kind of a sticky one. All right, so I'm going to switch up to the up camera here, the intro cam, but I'm going to face it down so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Lighter, oh, okay, so ocean blue, if that's what you want. So I just want to double check with Jamie. Is ocean blue good? Because we can do a little bit of green in there. It's like a green blue. That's teal. But ocean blue is a very good kind of, it's like that kind of light blue. But again, we're going for transparent. And then for silver, we are going to go with, I think we're going to have to go with the Illumidust Pewter. A little bit of Yakinum. This is one of the best silvers out there. And this is, like, I haven't seen anybody that makes one exactly like this. Illumidust Pewter. This is a wicked silver. That'll be our little accent. And we're going to, sometimes I have problems with this, especially on larger blanks. And then also, especially when you start adding in a bunch of junk in there, things can get kind of out of hand real quick. But let's try and see what we can do with this. Now, these bowl blanks take probably about 600 grams of resin, something like that. I'm going to get a cup out over here. Blowing, there's something in the bottom of this thing. This is one thing that I will say. If you're making clear or transparent blanks, they are a little bit harder because you really need to go get a clean cup. I really wouldn't recommend you reusing one, because if you have little tiny dust particles, you might even want to blow it out. If anything's in there, you're going to see it in the transparent resin. So get a clean cup, and this is like doubly serious if you're doing dead clear. It's really, those are like one of the hardest blanks to get with nothing in there at all. You know, like nothing floating around or anything. So we're zeroing that out. So I want to just double check the chat and see what, I just want to make sure the super chatters are happy. So, beard balm? Oh man, I hope so. I would love a beard balm. Your channel, I know, but you super chatted. That was the whole point. You want to, I don't want to lose subs. Oh man. All right, so let's try let's do just a little bit. I'm curious to see what this little mixture of mine looks like. I'm going to do a little pinprick. I'll just show you how I do that. We'll add a little pinprick to it, and it's going to be the majority of the resin in this cup. So a little pinprick. I'm going to look at the shade of it, and I'll pull it over onto this other little camera so you can kind of see a little bit better. It's probably the best shot that I got on that one. And then we'll go back to the ocean blue and just add that, because we know that one's good. There might be just a tad bit of green in it though, so let's just kind of do it that way. Just for the heck of it, let's do it. Okay, so we need I need to make notes. That's what I need to do first. This one's pretty simple. Like I said, we're going to mix up 600 grams. So number 3 today. We're doing a pasta bowl. That's kind of, you know, I mean, really, it seems fitting to make a pasta bowl. We're doing the little red bowl for the mold. Oops. Little red bowl. We're using Alumilite regular clear. 600 grams total. We're going to do 300 times 2. And we're going to add, we're going to break off. So most of it's going to be, I'm just going to say that it's pretty much ocean blue. We don't need that much of that dye, the ocean blue. Like 1 drop will probably do fine, maybe 2. And then we're going to break off a tiny, tiny amount let's just call it 10 grams of resin, and we're going to add pewter powder. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these little small condiment cups to break off that 10 grams. And we'll just add some silver in there. Let's make it 20 grams. Let's make it 20. 20 grams, and I made that note. So we got our part A, we got this cup, and it's zeroed out on the scale. All right, so we need 300 grams of part A, 260, 290, oh, so close. Before I start mixing this resin up, my throat's pretty dry. It's pretty hot in here. So I'm going to go get a drink of water before we get going on this. I went a little bit over. Now this is a case where we're going for transparent, and definitely if you're going for clear and you're using Alumilite clear, or the regular or the slow set, and this only applies to this one specific resin. I always like to add a little bit extra part B, just because it seems to ensure that you got a very clear mixture. And this is definitely, I do it every time if I'm just going for a clear resin. Even if it's a transparent but pretty see-through, I usually do this as well. It's not going to throw off your ratio. It's just going to help ensure that you don't have any issues. It's very clear mixture. If it ends up, and the reason for this is if for some reason your mixture ended up a little bit part A heavy, for some reason your scale was off, or you measured, you were mixing and you didn't mix in all the part A or part B or whatever, and it ended up part A heavy, it could have some clarity issues. So I always just make sure that it's definitely not going to fall into that category. So before we start though, like I said, I need to get a drink. I think I've found my favorite water bottle, guys. And it's kind of, I'm a little bit annoyed that it's so expensive, but this Hydro Flask, that's the way to go. I'm going to actually take my gloves off because I might have resin on them. And I don't really want to eat resin. So Hydro Flask, and this is not like a sponsorship or something, I just literally am excited. This little sippy lid thing, oh man, it's awesome. And it even has a little hole so that it's not like it just blubs. It's got the whole air thing. I'm pretty excited. I got this yesterday, and so far I'm very impressed with this water bottle. For anybody that doesn't know, I just realized that these insulated bottles keep water cold for a long time, even if it's hot outside. It's amazing. And yes, I am aware that I'm kind of an idiot. I just found out about insulated bottles. It was like an epiphany. And if you put an ice cube in there, oh man, it's going to be cold for like ever. It's amazing. I'm very excited about my water bottles. But I'm very finicky. I'm very picky about the like cap thing, because I really liked my Nalgene, the liter or whatever bottles. It was perfect size to get a good chug going. And it's been actually very difficult to find a water bottle that has that kind of a mouth thing. So that little straw thing works pretty good though. Okay, so we got our part A in. Let's get our part B. We're going to be doing a little bit of a toothpick thing with where did that dye go? Before you start pouring all the resin together and mixing, you got to make sure you got your ducks in a row. Okay, so we got our dyes. We got our little cup. And I'm not going to put that on the scale. Make sure that I'm zeroed again. Okay, part B. let's see where we're at here. I think we're around 200 or so, something like that. 203. And 290. Getting close. Now, one thing I'm gonna warn you guys, I'm probably gonna have to just kind of hurry up and get over to my pressure pot when I'm done with this. And I may not get it on camera. And I got to go to the 5-gallon one over there, and it's just not going to be, I'm going to be kind of rushing around. So I may not get that on camera. I'm just warning you guys now. Actually, I can do it, I think. Sorta. I'll move this one up. That's up here facing that way. And try to remember to switch the camera views before I go running over there. 300. I'm going to go to 301. Like I said, I like to add a little extra part B when it's transparent. So we're about 300.9. Good enough. Let me get this Alumilite jugs out of the way. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I got my other little camera, which I need to get out of my way anyway. So just put this over here, get that thing set up, and you can see me hurrying over there when we get all done with this. So there we go. So I'll be running over there. I'll just have to make sure that I get the thing switched over. Okay, so we're mixing up. Let's get down to this casting view over here. So you guys get the zoomed in look. Okay, so should be about good to go with that. Just gonna give it a couple more stirs here. And then I'm gonna break off 20 grams into our little cup here. Can you guys see the thing? So zero that out. We're gonna put our pewter in this little cup. About 10, 15, 18, come on, get there. There we go, 20. One more drip. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get this in here close. Hopefully you guys can kind of see what's going on. So this is what I'm going to do here. If I'm trying to sneak up on something, I'm going to take a very tiny amount. And I got a bubble. I don't really want that bubble. Looks like it was an air bubble. I don't want air bubbles. They pop and make a mess. So I'm just going to take a little tiny bit. I mean, seriously, like kind of a pinprick. And then I'm going to mix it in here just a little bit. And that'll give you a very, bland kind of a not very dark color, and you can just keep adding a little bit at a time to get it. Now, it looks like that would have probably been a little bit more green than we wanted for that kind of teal. So now I'm going to come back. We're just going to do a drop of ocean blue. And I'll show you the difference. It's going to add a lot of color in there. One drop is not, it goes a really long way with Alumilite dyes. Okay, now what we're going to do, let's try something a little bit different than the other ones that we did. We're going to pour in about 3/4 of this. Oh, that's already getting warm. We're going to dump some pasta in here now. I'm going to kind of push it down. You need to get that pewter. I forgot to get our pewter in. I'm just going to add like a scoop of it. Maybe 2. I added just kind of a couple of these little scoops. Got to kind of hurry. This would definitely be a little bit easier with the slow set. I'm going to be kind of pushing it here. And so I'm going to add a little bit of the silver in the middle, but when I add the rest of the resin, it's going to really mix that up. Okay? And I know that. Okay, so we got all of our blue in there. I'm going to dump the rest of the pasta in. Now you can add like a piece of wood in the center, so you're not wasting as much resin. Kind of helps out. But a lot of times, just for ease of, when you're pouring the blanks, I just don't mess with it, especially on something kind of smaller like this. Not that big of a deal. Okay, so we got a little bit of an accent with some silver on the top, kind of. And then I'm going to be running. I don't have time to switch cameras, guys. Hands are all sticky and sorry. Nothing too special. Oh, this is going to be tough. You know what? I need to get it onto a always remember, get it on a little, I'm putting it on one of these things. Get it on a little scooper thing so you can get it into the pressure pot. Scooper, it's not a scooper. It's I don't know, what do you call that? Platform, shelf, tray, I don't know. Can't think of the word. Okay, so I think we got it in time. Sorry I didn't get that on camera, but it was just me running around like there was a fire or something. Here you go. There it is. It's filling up with air. So I got it in with my little thing. And I think that one will turn out kind of cool. So again, the one thing with pasta, with turning blanks or whatever, whatever you're making, you want to make sure that you seal any areas where the pasta is exposed to the air. Do not hit any exposed pasta with water. Don't wet sand. Make sure you get a finish, a top coat, seal coat of some sort, or you could even add like a layer of resin if it was something that's like a flat surface type of project. You can add another layer of resin on top as kind of a seal coat, but you want to make sure that pasta is sealed off so it doesn't get soft or what can end up happening is if you're just wet sanding, you kind of get it a little bit wet. It just gets kind of rough, and it's just not good. You don't want that. And eventually, it can kind of like go bad, I guess. So anyway, like I said, a lot of times with resin casting, the end is like, okay, you're messing around, and then you're like, oh my God, I got to get this thing in the pressure pot, and it gets a little crazy, a little bit hectic, especially like. I got to be honest, I pretty much switched to Alumilite Clear Slow Set for pretty much everything that I make quite a while ago. And mainly the reason for that is I buy it in these 10-gallon kits, and I don't want to have regular set and slow set. And the slow set will do pretty much everything that I want it to do, what I need. Regular set is good if you're doing small amounts of resin though. Clear, like label blanks, like in the tube-in ones. That's a very small amount of resin, and since the slow set version was engineered to be poured in large quantities, it doesn't really like being poured in small quantities because it doesn't generate enough heat at that point. You have to provide a lot of extra heat by like really heating the mold up and sometimes adding heat to your pressure pot or underneath your mold somehow. For the most part, and I don't do a lot of that kind of super small stuff. So for everything that I do, the slow set works good. And I generally, if that's the type of stuff you're going to be doing, a lot of times you're better off just going with slow set because it gives you just a little extra working time. But you're not kind of standing around waiting either, like some of the super slow ones. That's why I don't like having to wait 45 minutes for many of the epoxies. It's just not, I got better things to do with my time kind of thing. I'd rather do lots of smaller things, I guess, lots of smaller batches of things. So let me get these things put away before I forget. This one. I like to get my powders and dyes and all that stuff put away so I don't spill them or lose them or something. But anyway, I hope you guys had fun today watching the Pasta Power edition of Dunkin' Junk. One thing that I want to share with you guys, because the live stream folks are you guys are the insiders, I would say, hanging out all the time. I finally got my merch store set up, and we have minimal stuff. Let me go see if I can find a link. I don't even know what the link is. The good news is, and it's a Teespring store, so it's going to be below all of my videos now. I'm really super excited about it, actually. It's something that has been on my list of things to do for a very long time, but let's see, hold on real quick. I need to find this thing and figure out what I'm doing real quick. It's been on the list of things that I've wanted to do forever, and I just didn't know exactly how it worked and all these problems. So if you don't see it underneath my videos for some reason, here's a link to the store. And I need to actually order some shirts. I got a Dunkin' Junk shirt. So it's got like the Dunkin' Junk logo on it, and it's in a bunch of different colors. You can kind of pick which color t-shirt you want. And then I also got my Dunkin' Junk stickers up there. So all of my stickers and t-shirts and all that stuff are going to be available in that Teespring store. And like I said, it's pretty simple. It's going to be right below my regular videos. If you just go to my my channel, click on any video, there's all the merchandise stuff is down there. And so I'm going to be trying to add more and more different types of things. I got a couple ideas for t-shirts and different stuff that I want to add. So I just wanted to mention that. We got merch finally that you can share. I've tried making shirts in the past, and it's just, the problem is that those Teespring things are so awesome because you can just put your design up there, and it's not like I got to sit here and hold inventory. T-shirts are the worst because you have to order a ton of them to make them worth buying, to order. And it's really hard for most people, but the Teespring thing makes it a little easy. I got to be honest, I'm not very excited about Teespring itself. I think their interface sucks and their customer service is kind of terrible, but other than that, their products I think are pretty good. It's just trying to get through all the, I think they changed the setup of how things work a while, like not too long ago, and it's kind of like, who came up with this system of setting up your store? So I shouldn't complain too much about it, but just be warned, Teespring, the way things work, it's kind of weird. So yeah, I'm gonna make coffee cups. That's one of them. The reason I'm frustrated about that setup, the reason I said that, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I was thinking like, oh, they make it seem simple where you're like, oh, here's the Dunkin' Junk logo. And then they're like, oh, do you want to add it to like cups and, like the coffee mugs and like socks and all this stuff? It was kind of crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But then it totally got messed up and you couldn't make any changes once you like published it. And I was like, ugh. So I kept having to like, I've made like 3 of the same listing like 4 times now. And I think I finally figured it out, but it was a little bit frustrating. And I just think that they need to kind of streamline their system of setting up your listings. So, but yeah, I do plan to make coffee mugs. And like I said, the beauty of that is I can just kind of put that artwork up there and do whatever. I'm going to make socks. You can get socks. I was like, oh my God, I got to have that. Socks and leggings, women's leggings. Gretchen was like, oh, we got to get that. So it's going to be kind of fun. And that's just the Dunkin' Junk logo. Right now, like I said, though, there's just regular t-shirts and then long sleeve t-shirts with the Dunkin' Junk logo on the front, and then the stickers. So Anyway, that's available. I'm pretty excited, and keep your eyes peeled because I want to come up with some kind of hashtag t-shirts and like fun stuff, different designs and things that, I don't know, just kind of have fun with it. Play around and try and make some really cool resin casting shirts that you guys might enjoy also, and that I want to wear. So make a t-shirt pen blank. That's not a bad idea. Anyway, so I hope you guys have fun tonight, the rest of your evening. I'm going to go watch the Dodgers-Yankees game. That's going to be crazy this weekend. That's going to be an all-time classic matchup. It's going to be cool. And so we'll be back next Friday doing something fun, making some resin cast, turning blanks, maybe turning something. I got to see what the deal is with this bowl. I think I might just shoot video of that and just do a normal one of that big money bowl. But anyway, we'll be back next Friday doing something out here, so I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining tonight. Thank you to the super chatters. I really appreciate all the support, guys. And again, don't forget to, I think a lot of people say, don't forget to hit the like button when you leave. I always kind of forget to say that. It definitely helps out, though. And then I'll have the replay of this up probably in a few days. So anyway, guys, have a great night. I will see you guys all next Friday at 3 p.m. And go check out my new merch store. It should be kind of cool. It'd be really cool seeing other people wearing some Dunkin Junk stuff, definitely. So if you do order something, get a picture and tag me on Instagram and Facebook. I want to see you guys in your Dunkin Junk gear. So have a good night, guys. Thanks for joining the fun, and I will see you next Friday.